Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 74, which just 2 moments ago, Chris Show started singing 74, 75. So any 90s listeners will recognize that. And anyone younger than that won't. I am Paul. I am your host for today. And of course, I am joined by Chris Show and Alan, the two most wannabe Galway men in Dublin.
Oh, baby.
Absolutely
You
not.
You know why, because we'll be talking about it shortly, but you're making your way to Galway very soon. And I am in the process of alerting all of the authorities and everybody that needs to know. Before we crack on with this week's episode, we have loads to talk about, I should tell you that the Irish Mags Show is sponsored by Flagman Ireland, who specialize in quality digitally printed personalized flags, bunting, tablecloths, table flags, and hand wavers. Their online store also stocks and sells a wide range of international and domestic flags, including their heavy woven government standard Irish tricolour in various sizes and finishes, all of which can be shipped all over the world, including Galway. However, I still haven't received my Galway flag. Are one of you bringing it down? Is that it behind you?
Is that ESEC?
Oh, yes,
ESEC celebration? ESEC celebration.
The ESEC celebration, yeah. There will be a flag coming to Galway and it'll be staying in Galway. Chris, are you going to bring a flag too?
I'm bringing the biggest flag you've ever seen in your life. 6 foot by 4 foot. Oh, baby, wrapped around me.
Oh dear. We might just wrap him around it for the day, Alan, maybe, and just put him out of sight, out of mind. Yeah,
tie him to a table with it.
Worst thing, I'm sure worse things are happening.
I'm gonna get a special edition Chris Show flag made by Flagman Ireland. I hope. It's just gonna be
most wanted.
You know the graph.
I'd expect nothing less than a War Flags tifo of your head going into next season. That's what you should be aiming for. Aim high, Chris Show.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
It's coming. If you have any flag needs, of course, get on over to flagsireland.com and you can access all of their products there, including some of the Irish Mags flags if you're lucky and if you're that way inclined. Right. Today's episode, lads. What are we talking about? Oh, we have 4 games left and we're third in the league. And at the exact moment and time of recording, Brentford are beating Nottingham Forest. I think it's just half. Is it half?
Just half time. Yeah, it's half time.
Just half time. That would be a very good result for us. I'm literally looking at Sky Sports as we speak, live league table as it stands. Every team with 34 games played. Newcastle in third, 62 points. Man City a point behind. Chelsea a point behind them. Forest on the same points as well. 62, 61, 60, 60. And Aston Villa, even though they did beat us recently, are on 57. It's looking good, lads. We have a lot to be positive about. With 4 games remaining, and we'll be having a chat about those coming up. We're also going to be having a big chat about something we did for the first time last season, lads. The Irish Mags official trademark, copyright, patent pending player and young player of the season. Last year, we had the absolute pleasure to go to St. James's Park and present the 2 winners. We actually, it was this season really, but it was last year, Alan, wasn't it? Who knows? This season, I can't believe how that's all the same season. We were pitch side, and we were fortunate enough to present the Player of the Year to Anthony Gordon and the Young Player of the Year to Tino Livramento. So on this week's episode, we are going to be drawing up our little shortlist for both awards, and we'll be putting a poll out to the Irish Mags members in the Irish Mags WhatsApp groups for us to commence voting as the season approaches the end. Alan, approaching the end of the season feels weird to say, and I don't know if I'm ready. I just, there's too much.
As long as we finish in the top 5, I am well and truly ready for this season to end, because it is going down in history as our best season of all time. We won a cup. So, cup, Champions League, bring on next season.
Can you imagine, Chris, if we got a Champions League place? I mean, look, let's just say it. Imagine if we finished third with a Carabao Cup trophy. Like, if you'd have said that to me now last July, I would have, like never mind July. Like, if you'd have said that to me when the transfer window closed, I would have said not a chance. I thought we might struggle to even get a European place.
Everyone's gels, Al, just real quick. Everyone's gels should get juicy, because what's going to happen is that we're going to come second, right? We've won a cup. Right, and we're going to have the biggest transfer window that we've ever had in the history of the football club. That's what's coming down the line. So get ready for a very nice summery. 28 degrees in Waterford yesterday. It's going to be 28 degrees all summer for Newcastle fans, because it's going to be a sunny summer for everybody. It's going to be a real positive. I'm telling you, second is coming. It's Arsenal are going to lose the semi-final. They're going to be all crestfallen. They haven't got Gabriel, which is the kind of cornerstone of their defense, as you can tell from the last couple of games. And we're going to nip. We're going to nip second. Just nip it by a point. There you go.
Alan,
there's the positivity.
Do you remember we did our predictions last week? We did not have Newcastle United finish.
No, we didn't have second. I also don't think we'll finish second. But if we were to get Champions League football, win a cup competition, does that mean we've had a better season than Arsenal, who haven't won anything and are only getting Champions League football? This is a direct question to Ty of AFC TV. So
if you're there,
your thoughts. If you're there, we know you listen. It's a good. Well,
yeah. The answer is yes. I mean, we want to
probably
yes.
If they get knocked out of the Champions League, if they get to the Champions League final, even if they don't win it, then it is an interesting question. Even getting to a final is a Champions League final. But as of right now,
I would getting to a final gets you above winning a cup competition, because who cares about losing a cup final? Nobody.
Nobody. We don't do that. We win cup finals. Really that's the thing. Yeah. We only win them. We know. Let's crack into it, lads. We start off really, really quickly talking about the last game that we just had, which was, I don't know, Crisho, fucking one of the most chaotic games of the season in terms of just a bit of madness and the referee losing complete control, and kind of a game that had everything. So enjoyable to watch, probably from a neutral perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously we got a good win and they went down to 10 men, and rightly so. But how did you enjoy that game? Or did you enjoy it?
I didn't really. Well, I did because we won, of course, but the referee lost the run of the game after about 2 or 3 minutes. And I thought, no, he's going to start lobbing yellow cards around all over the place. That's not good for us, even though we don't really have big suspensions coming up no matter what happens. But I just thought he kind of killed the game a little bit. He took a little bit of grit out of the game, and that, I suppose, that suited us. One thing I like about maybe the last 10 games, 15 games for Newcastle, and I know we've complained about it before, or let's say we've discussed it before, we weren't getting crosses in, we weren't taking chances. Now we are getting crosses in and we are taking chances.
Yeah,
it's like they've had a chat and they've gone, get the ball in and around the box, get shots off, and it's happening. The beautiful thing about the Ipswich game is it could have been a little banana slip first. It could have been, but once they went down to 10 men, we swallowed them up, and it's just really, really lovely. I had a real big smile on my face when I saw Sula's goal, because it was a great Alan Shearer-esque header, and fair play to him. He seems like a right old crack, this fella. So I really hope, like Al said, just give him a chance and he'll get a goal. So Al, again, you're right. So let's give the guy a chance. I didn't think his first goal was going to be a header, proper Alan Shearer or Duncan Ferguson style header from a corner, but it was beautiful. And I kept an eye on the main thing I was watching during the game was Yaman Delap, because I think we should go and get him. I think we should go and get him.
He's a quality player.
A release cost 30 million.
And they weren't they didn't play very well, but they didn't even play very expansively. It was almost like they would have been happy to lose 1-0 when we were 1-0 up. But he was a handful for the defenders. I think in a better side, he actually was troubling Fabian Schär quite a bit, as well as Namberg.
Is he got a buyback clause? Man City got a buyback clause?
I think they have first dibs, have they?
First refusal, but I can't see him going to Man City because he wouldn't get a sniff. Let's be honest about it. He won't get in ahead of Marmouche and Haaland, so he'd be third fiddle there. Whereas if he came to us, he'd only be second fiddle. But clubs like Chelsea and Man United are offering him first fiddle. It's a great way to say that we are actually kind of ahead of teams like that, though, in that term, that we already have a better striker and we'd like someone to come in of that caliber to play second fiddle, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. What a change from a couple of years ago.
I just want him to stop saying fiddle and stop talking about fiddling. Especially when we get to our Young Player of the Year awards. No, that's not even good.
Oh, Paul, jeez.
But speaking of which, like young players, we'll talk about Oslo, because for me, that's what we need him to be, is a handful when he comes on. Is to be a threat. We don't need him to be competing with Isak necessarily, particularly not yet. What we need him to be and what we want him to want to be is, I'm going to come on and show what I can do, and to actually legitimately show that. And that's, we did see glimpses of him playing on the right and stuff, a couple of different games on the wing. And he's got those big bandy legs, and he likes to do a bit of. He's got a bit of showboating about him, a bit of flair, but he's also he's all limbs and elbows, and he's just a bit of a fucking nightmare to try.
He's very quick with a step over. I've never seen someone so big as quick with a step over. And the one thing I absolutely love about him, I was sitting in the bleaker, sitting beside Sean, and Sean was like, I don't rate this kid. And I was like, watch him. I was like, he's not a right winger. I was like, he's a centre forward. And he's like, oh, but he's playing him on the right. And I said, watch this. He took the ball on the right wing, played Trippier in, and everyone was expecting him to overlap. And I was like, he's in the 6-yard box where a centre forward's meant to be. I was like, he is a goal scorer. He's just very, very unrefined, and he needs to be trained a little bit more, if you know what I mean. But he's going to be a good player. And I don't think we send him out on loan next year. I think he does a Lewis Hall, and he is a very, very good asset to our squad next season.
Well, I don't see any. Well, the only reason to send him on loan is if we did, for example, if we did go and sign Liam Delap.
If you did, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the only way you do
personally, I'd be surprised if we signed Liam Delap, being really honest. But if we did, then that would be a good reason to send him on loan. But if we don't, if we're keeping Isak around, obviously, I see nothing wrong with just having Osula as second fiddle, as the man once said, because Eddie Howe's working with him, and Jason Tindall, they're working with him on the training ground, and you can see him improving because we've all watched him from the day he came in. Like, that was only his first Premier League goal in 30, I think it was 33 Premier League appearances for Sheffield United and us. I think he's only played 9 for us, but overall, it's something really
800 minutes or something like
800
that.
minutes or 900 minutes, which is
that.
the equivalent of about 10 games. So, now he's got it under his belt. You'd hope to think like that. Yeah, that gives him a bit of confidence. What you really want, Crucio, is that he's on the bench against Brighton this weekend, and he's itching to come on and just do that again. That's what we want. That's what you need from your young backup striker.
Yeah, so look, I really think that, like, Sula, it'd be perfect. A young player gets his first Premier League goal, gets the field all week. It'd be lovely to give him a chance, 70th minute or so on. I'm not really too confident about this Brighton game. I'm really sorry, lads. I know I started positively, but the more we kind of get to it, the more anxious I'm getting, because Chelsea, Arsenal, and Everton aren't exactly like easy games, are they? Let's be frank. This Brighton game is the core of the whole season. This game. That's why it's so great to be able to go to Galway and really celebrate it. Because if we win this, we definitely are getting Champions League. I can tell you that. No matter what happens in the other 3 games, if we beat Brighton on Sunday, we're getting Champions League, whether it's 5th or 3rd or 2nd. But Asula, it's nice to see him get the goal. It'd be good if he got a chance to come on again. Al, I don't know where he plays. You say he's a striker. I can't see this. Like, I can't. But look, I'm willing to give the guy a chance, because if he can head the ball like that, damn, we've missed having someone like that. I'm not saying he's can't head the ball, but we've missed a big arms and elbows jumping up and heading goals in. So it'd be good to have that back. But I don't know. Let's keep him in the squad. Let's see if he can get 20 minutes against Brighton, because we're either going to be 3-0 up after 60 minutes at Brighton, or it's going to be very close, 1-1, and we need something to happen. So maybe Asula's our guy. Maybe he's the guy who gets us to the Champions League. Maybe.
Wouldn't be a bad show.
I mean, it wouldn't have been on my bingo card.
No,
definitely not.
But like we said, it's what a good time of the season to start getting a few goals, and as you said, becoming a problem. Because I think the other thing as well, and we've said this before, Alan Isak still isn't fully fit, and I still maintain that I struggle to remember a time where he just has been 100% guaranteed fully fit. And yeah, I think
has he ever been 100% fit in a Newcastle jersey?
That's literally my point. I kind of suspect he's never been 100% for like 5 games in a row. Do you know what I mean? I always think there's something niggly, and this isn't like not against him, obviously. I just think there's always some kind of small concern. Something's tight, something's a little bit pulled, and maybe it's the way he runs and he's so fast and all that. But like, Jesus, imagine if he was, because look how good he is at the current stage.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Unbelievable player.
It's the cold weather. It's the cold weather in Newcastle. That's what it is.
Maybe. Yeah. You'd like to think it's colder in Sweden sometimes, but look, who knows? Who might
when did he go to Spain? He went to Spain when he was like, what, 19 or something? Or
he went to Germany first when he was 17. 16, 17, he was at Dortmund, and then he went over to Spain then at around 1920, I think. So, yeah, maybe he enjoyed his time in Spain, and who wouldn't? Let's be fair, let's be real. Okay, and Alan Crisho was talking about aerial goals. Quick shout out for Dan Byrne on the score sheet again.
Big Dan Byrne
rose higher than anyone and just bundles the ball. He bundles Darrow O'Shea and he bundles somebody a Newcastle player.
Yeah.
I personally believe if 10 of the Ipswich players were standing on the line, he would have bundled them through the goal and still scored. He's got that kind of hang in the air, kind of like a basketball player, where he just hangs, and then throws his whole body at it. It could have hit his shoulder, his chest, anywhere. It was definitely going in 100%.
Why has it taken us till the 34th game of the season to get our 6'7" centre half to score a goal? Yeah. I know he scored in the cup final. The man is 6'7". He needs to be scoring more goals. He is the biggest freak of nature of a footballer you'll ever come across. He needs to be scoring more headers. Look, he was in the net when he headed that ball. It was, if he had missed it, I would have gone to Newcastle and fought myself and lost horrifically, but I still would have went and tried. He needs to be scoring more headers. It's very frustrating. But he
have a lot to be said for Trippier being back on that pitch. 2 assists.
Oh yeah,
fantastic crosses. Do you know what I mean? That definitely is a difference as well.
We have a problem with corners. You know, we do. We've talked about it all season. Our corners seem to go nowhere. Like, ball comes in, keeper catches it, or it's cleared very easily, and Dan Byrne might stay up for a second kind of transition ball back in. But I'm just kind of, why can't we get a corner coach like Arsenal have? We've got some.
Well, Tyndall does it though. I believe Tyndall does
is one of those. Yeah,
he is our set piece coach. Yeah. As far as I know, Tyndall is the man for set pieces. You don't see him as vocal as, like, you know, because sometimes you see that Arsenal fella. The camera always goes on to him when Arsenal do something in the corner. But he's not like visibly coordinating it from the sideline. But I believe he's the man that does it on the training pitch.
Villa have one as well, and the two clubs that have them are the two biggest arsehole clubs in the league. So I don't want one. It's such a tin pot thing. It's like, remember Liverpool signed a throw-in coach, and I was like, I hate football.
That I agree. I definitely think the throw-in coach
is rubbish. That crack is rubbish.
I'm fully on board with the ridiculousness of the throw-in coach. Set pieces, I mean, I've been actually looking at Arsenal, like that goal they scored. I can't remember when it was, but I was watching the one that Jacob Kirier scored, and then even the Marino one. I think you can see how they're body checking. It's almost like American football, a bit of basketball, where particularly that Kirier goal. I was watching it back, and you could see, like, what's there? 8 players in the box. Let's say 8 red shirts. If there was 8 or 9, let's say, all of them bar Kirier. Their job was to body check their men. They weren't going for the ball. Yeah. Every one of them knew that Kirier was the one who was the target. So it was up to Declan Rice, whoever, to hit him. So I like that organization because it works, basically. But I don't think you need to go overboard on it. But we've improved a lot in our set pieces, particularly. You know, we do a lot of good things with short corner routines and stuff as well. So that made that last indeed. Right. That's probably enough talking about Ipswich. Oh, we also relegated them because we just relegate clubs sometimes. That's what we do.
It's 2 years in a row, isn't
it? It was. But the thing is, it was nice and classy, though, that the Newcastle fans got the Ipswich fans at St. James's Park.
It was, in fairness,
It was nice that they had an Ipswich flag around Bobby Robson. It's all like a real touch of class from our fans. You know what I mean? Not like Villa fans, that's scumbags. You know what I mean? But like they did to us. But we have a bit of class up in our spot. Like, you know what I mean? People are working class. They like drinking. They like having the crack. But we've got a nice touch of class about us, especially with football. We people say all about Liverpool and how knowledgeable their fans are and all this. Give me a break. Newcastle fans are just as knowledgeable, if not more. And especially when it comes to things like that, you know, you show a real, you know, respect to a club, and an old club that are still playing in Portman Road instead of that cool stadium, which I really like. And, you know, it's really sad, to be frank with you, that the 3 teams that came up are the 3 teams that went down. And they've been shocking, really. They've had a couple of wins here and there, Ipswich, Southampton and that. But let's be frank, lads, they've been shocking. And any other year...
Ipswich have been better than Leicester and Southampton. Like, by way. You know, I would say Ipswich are closer to Man United than they are to Leicester and Southampton in terms of quality. That doesn't say much, no.
I can safely tell you, whatever 3 clubs come up this year, we'll be going straight back down next year.
We'll be going, I agree.
The gulf between the Championship and the Premier League is just beyond what you can actually...
You might think that Leeds might have the resources to stay up.
They won't.
They're a bit patchy.
PSR comes into play when you hit the Premier League. It's all about profit and sustainability.
They have to
That
sell.
is in line to keep everything as it is.
keep everyone
They do not want change. So the 3 teams coming up go straight back down, and until that changes, that will not change.
Yeah,
I fully agree, and that's probably something for us to delve into during the summer when we have no games to talk about. We'll do some PSR pods and we'll do some Premier League pods, and we'll get it all out of our system. And just to burst Chris Show's bubble, Alan, when he was talking about how much class we have, I mean, yeah, I agree. We are a very classy fan base and a sophisticated fan base who also enjoys singing "Say Hello to Sunderland" when it's but as we said, it was all in good jest. Right, lads, let's move on to the big event. We'll get to Brighton towards the end of the show. Let us talk about the season in the context of best player and best young player. And we might also have a little chat about the academy players and maybe breakthrough stars and stuff like that. But what we want to do, similar to last season, is towards the end of the season, we want to crown the Irish Mags player of the season and the Irish Mags young player of the season. To do that, we need your help. We need listeners' help. We need Irish Mags members' help, because we will be putting it to a vote so that the Irish Mags collective can vote for the player and young player of the season. Today, our job is very simple, Alan. We need to start putting together a shortlist. So I think we should start with the Young Player of the Season award. So what we're going to try and do is nominate, well, if we can be unanimous, because, you know, we get on and we're all friends, except you, Chris. If we can all, if we can get a unanimous agreement that we'll have 4 players for each category so that we can put that in the poll, and we'll be announcing when that's live and so on and so forth. And if we're lucky, we might just manage to convince the club again to let us present them with their rewards.
Can I come?
But
Can I come?
You're definitely not coming. No. It's grand. Look, once you get your War Flags tifo, that'll be enough. Yeah, you're not allowed to.
I just want to caveat something. We will not be on the pitch this year. The club has already told us we will not be on the pitch this year awarding the trophy. So that's out the window already. Just to get all people. Yeah, exactly. I'm bursting that bubble nice and early because we've been told that will no longer be happening. So don't be getting anyone's hopes up.
What did we do? Was it because I was shouting up Galway at Alex Murphy when he was walking through?
It was actually that other fan bases or fan clubs were like, I want to do that. And they were like, right, well, we have to stop that. Not everyone can do that. Yeah. So everyone wanted to do what we done. And then they said, nobody's doing it.
You were on BT Sport, let's be frank. Like,
I was.
You were there. You could see you guys in the background. So lots of people would have been like, hey, wait a minute, can you do that?
Yeah, so that's the end of that.
We belong on the TV. The Irish.
Well, thanks for ruining it for everybody, lads. Thanks for ruining it for everybody.
And everyone just turned off and closed down their browser tabs and just turned off Spotify and muted and blah blah blah. Right, let's get the nominations going, lads. We need to get a short list. We're not going to obviously vote on who we think is the player of the season. We need to nominate. So I don't even want to know who you think should win it, because we have a lot of influence and power. We don't want to influence all of our listeners. We trust their opinions. Alan, let's start then with young player of the season. I would like you to give me a nomination.
Lewis Hall.
Lewis Hall makes sense. We should probably set out that for young player of the season, we are saying anyone under the age of 23, just FYI.
Under the age of 23 and in the first team squad. So we're not going to give anyone in the under 21s or whatever they're called nowadays. They're not going to be mentioned.
Excellent. Definitely a just nomination in my view. Chris, would you agree? Because granted, he's been injured, and it's easy to forget he was he was the best left back in the league, I think, from about September to when he got injured in the England squad, and he was outstanding for us. And probably people have kind of just slightly forgotten about it because he's been out injured, and other players are kind of grabbing the attention. But Lewis Hall was outstanding until he got injured.
I mean, until he got injured, he would have been young player of the season for the Premier League, like the Premier League young player of the year, without a doubt. So it's very difficult. And I know listeners, Irish Mags group, the whole lads, everybody's going to be like, well, there's only one real player, isn't there? It's just Lewis Hall. Like you said, Al, there's really, who else could you really compare the young player for the squad to go up against? But Al said Lewis Hall. I'll say somebody different. Yeah, I'll just say Asula. Yeah. Because he's got his goal, he's under the age, he's in the squad, he seems like a right crack, and he's a good lad. So hopefully he builds on it next year, and he can be a real contender for this. But like, to put him in the shortlist, I think he should be there.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be in there. I mean, we're not blessed with a lot. In fact, I think we have one of the oldest squads in the Premier League, particularly.
Yeah, I think it's the second oldest or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so we're not blessed. We don't have loads to choose from, but I think Osler deserves a shout there because he has scored some goals when it mattered. He's very much part of the first team squad, and as we said, well, I think he's is he 20, maybe 21. About the same age as me. So yeah, he gets in, no problem. I would probably just, I mean, it would logically make sense that last year's winner, who was Tino Livramento, is still eligible for this again this season. It's a funny one. I think this is where we come back to that question or that debate, Alan, is he started playing well when we put him out of position over on the left and has been really, really, really good since. Like, I mean, probably nobody covered themselves in glory in the Villa game, but bar that or prior to that, I thought he was doing outstanding in the left role. And like, for all intents and purposes, he's been consistently in the team all season. He's been available. Don't think he's been injured at all. Like, he displaced Kieran Trippier, and there was not really a chance Trippier was getting back in at the time. And he looks on course to play nearly every single game, and deserves it. And he got an England squad too. Fair play to him.
Absolutely. Yeah, well deserved.
Right, so that's Lewis Hall, Will Ostola, Tino Livramento. Do we have a fourth nomination?
It has to be Jamie Miley.
Jamie
Miley, Lewis Miley. Sorry,
Jamie gone. Jamie Miley.
Yeah, Hartley put Jamie Miley getting into the squad.
yeah, the Miley brothers. Yeah, two of them in. Screw it.
Put the two of them in. Lewis Miley. Yeah, I suppose Lewis Miley makes sense. I mean, obviously he was out for quite a while. I can't remember. Was it his back or what did he do that he was out for so long?
He did an ankle injury, then a back injury, and then something else happened, and he's eventually gotten back towards the squad. So hopefully we can see him the last couple of games of the season. Stake a claim for next year.
We did see him come on. Didn't he score against Fulham? Was it Fulham or was that last? Did he score against Fulham twice?
In the cup, wasn't it?
Last season and this season.
It was in the cup.
Oh, my memory is
too many goals. There's so many goals to remember. We're so good at scoring. It's like there's so many goals.
He did score in the cup this year against someone.
He did.
It was against. Yeah. It was like a 25-yarder. Bromley, Asula and Miley scored.
Oh, and Bromley. Okay,
yeah. Bromley, like they went 1-0 up or something, didn't they? Or did they? And then Miley equalised. Kind of a tricky one with Miley, isn't it? I mean, to have such a season last season where people were like talking about the new Steven Gerrard and he's amazing, this and that. And don't get me wrong, he hasn't like disintegrated into a non-footballer, but he's just not getting any opportunity. We have our first team midfield. He's not really going to get in there.
That's his issue. He's coming up against one of the best midfields in the Premier League. That it's not exactly, I just give him 20 minutes. When you're up challenging for what we're challenging for, you can't just give lads 20 minutes. You have to earn your space. Unfortunately, he hasn't done it yet. He's being kept out by an Italian international and two Brazilian internationals. It's not the end of the world. The kid's 18.
Well, that was going to take me to my question before I move on. Was obviously Joe Linton looks to be out for the season now, lads, which is a bit shit typical. When we're absolutely everything to play for, but there are a lot of calls for Miley to come in rather than Willock, and Willock just hasn't been brilliant. He's just whatever is going on with Willock, I don't know. He's just there's no momentum, there's no vibes, just it's not confidence. But
yeah,
I know there's talks about Miley. Oh, he's better on the right of a three than the left of a three, but I'd love to see more of Miley. I just feel like, I just feel like other clubs would be playing him more than we've played him, if that makes sense, even since he's back fit.
It would, but the 3 games where Miley has been absolutely abysmal for us, he has played on the left of the midfield, of the left-hand side of the central midfield. When he's been really, really good for us, he's been on the right-hand side of the midfield.
I'd wager we were collectively shite the 3 games he played on the left of the 3.
We were, but the problem is you will be more likely to see Sean Longstaff come in for Willock than you will Jamie Miley or Lewis Miley. Why do I keep calling him Jamie? You'd be more likely to see Longstaff come in for Miley than you will vice versa, because Eddie is regimented. Miley is the right central midfielder for him, and Willock is the left central midfielder, and the 6 is between the rest of them. I can't see it happening.
Say Bruno, go over on the left there and do a bit of business, and we bring Miley in on the right.
He's totally right for the player. He's completely
square holes. Yeah, square holes, round pegs, and all that jazz.
I'm just glad because I think I've been triggered now. Yeah, you've triggered me now because you've mentioned Willock. Yeah, Willock is a disaster. He is a disaster. Just to go back to the start of the podcast where we're talking about the Ipswich game, when I saw the team sheet, I was like, fucking hell, Eddie. And I know he's going to stick with him. I knew he was going to put him in, Al. Don't get me wrong. But did he do anything? Did he fuck? Did he fuck? He bambied around again.
There was one
waving his elbows.
Joe Willock of old. You know his direct runs. Sometimes when he goes on a real direct run, he just runs that plate and he did that. And it was the first time I've seen him do it in a while. And that's usually what I love about Joe Willock. Yeah. But I just didn't see enough. But he's just not playing with any sort of confidence or as I said, vibes.
You said the injuries have fucked him. They've wrecked him. He's not the same player at all. There's no confidence.
But that's it. He's a confidence player. You cannot expect to throw him in at the deep end after not playing more than 15 or 20 minutes in God knows how long and expect him to be right up to speed. You have to give him a game or two. If after, I'm not even saying after Brighton, if after the Chelsea game, he's still not looking like he's getting up to speed, that's when I'd make the change. But you can't just go, all right, you haven't played more than 20 minutes all season. You have to be right as rain for 90 minutes now. And you have to pull him out of the squad. That's not real life. You cannot work football like that.
But Al, is that not what we need going forward as a big club, as a top four club? We need players to be ready to step in.
Have you ever seen a player come in from the cold of only playing 15 minutes, not being entirely match fit in any team, and come in and take over and have a seamless integration into the squad? It just doesn't happen. Yeah. You can be as fit as you want.
Yeah,
I think we were saying similar things about Harvey Barnes as well, weren't we? When Barnes started coming into the squad or coming on, making his sub appearances, wasn't great. He just wasn't. And then a little bit of consistency. He probably was looking at it going, at least I know I'm playing for 3 games because Gordon was suspended for 3 games, and that it was almost like that reassured him or gave him back a bit of his mojo. And then he look what he's done since. He's been brilliant those last few games. So
here's the
point. Just need Willock to score a goal.
Yeah, here's the point. And I'm talking about the club going forward. We don't need players like that need to rely on confidence and taps on the back. Out you go. We need consistent professionals that have talent and that have potential. And they don't need someone to tell them that their hair looks great or that was a great pass in training. Just get on the pitch and do your job. You get paid an inordinate amount of money to do it. Don't go on and run around.
He's Roy Keating on the podcast.
This is a Roy Keating. If he says baby halfway through this, I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm out of here, baby.
Do me a favor.
I'm just saying that. Look, just wave goodbye to Willock. Wave goodbye to Longstaff. They're both going and they're both being replaced, and that's it. And if the Ipswich game really was the last chip of the block, I'd had enough. I couldn't believe what I was watching. He did nothing, absolutely nothing. And then one thing he did that was good in that game, just one, nothing.
Come off. Right. No, I'm only joking, Joe. If you're out there, respect. I think it'd be an interesting conversations to have in the summer, especially if we are planning to finally get active in a transfer window. And we've got completely sidetracked from what was a discussion on Young Player of the Season, and we ended up talking about Joe Willock. But that's the Irish Flags Show, everybody. Right, so we've got 4 nominations for Young Player of the Season. We have Lewis Hall, Will Ossola, Tino Livramento, and Lewis, not Jamie Miley. Both polls will be coming soon. So you could, listeners, be having a think about it, or even let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know who your vote would go to and keep an eye out for the polls. We'll move on to the main event, Chris Show, to start things off for the player of the season. I mean, there's been moments, there's been some games even where you're like, you can't even pick a man of the match in some of the in terms of some of the great performances we put in. But looking back over 34 Premier League games as it stands currently, plus the cup run, FA Cup, all that kind of stuff. There's been some seriously, I suppose there has been a few standout performances in terms of consistency. Yeah. Who would be first on the Christian Martin list for player of the
season? Joe Willock. No, for me, honestly, no. I mean it. God, it's hard. It really is. But it's between 2. So can I say the 2 of them because it's very close? It'll be I won't.
Yeah, sure. Go on. We'll let you have it.
Okay. Murphy and Tonali.
Murphy and Tonali. Okay.
Because I mean Tonali has stepped up, shown that he is the class player we thought he was. He's the linchpin of the midfield. God bless him. He is the most beautiful footballer I've ever seen. And then Murphy has taken what God gave him. He's been trained well, and Christ, has he delivered. And to boot, he's a super good dude, and he's a Newcastle supporter. So yeah, I'd love to see him get it. But Tonali, we have a world class midfielder. I can't believe it. So they're my two, and they're both equal.
I can't argue with that. I mean, if I was picking between the two, I would lean towards Tonali. And like, I know like Tonali missed only 2 or 3 games at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And then obviously there was just like, took a while to get him into the right place and the right role. But from that moment on, he's been unbelievable. And I mean like unfucking believable. Like to the point where we're not seeing other midfielders play as well as this guy, as far as I'm concerned. And even when we're shite, he plays well.
Your man who said at the start of the season that he's going to be more important than Bruno by the end of the season, he's been dead right, I have to say.
Who said that? Jamie Miley said that.
Jamie Miley, that's who said it.
Jamie Miley's an Irish mag. No, it's fair. Alan, your prediction appears to have come to fruition, but we'll talk about that at the end of the season. Let's get there.
Al.
The only thing is, well, with Murphy just baffles me. Like, sometimes I like to think I'm quite like logical and analytical thinking about football. You're looking at Murphy, and like when you look at Murphy's highlights of his crosses or his goals, or you're looking at his numbers, you're like, wow. But when you're watching 90 minutes, he still does some awful shy things with the football in terms of like passing or first touch, kind of some pretty basic things. So I agree he should be in this list. I definitely agree he should be in this list. I just can't believe he's in this list. You know, if you said this to me again back at the start of the season, I would have been like, you know, this was when the transfer window closed, and I was just so frustrated we didn't sign a right winger. I was just like, or you know, an inside forward, whatever you want to call it. And suddenly Murphy, like, and fair fucking play to him, he's been brilliant. And I agree with you, Chris. You're like, he's a top lad, loves the jerseys, loves playing for us, and we should absolutely keep him around because he just brings something different than a lot of other wingers. But he wouldn't win it for me. How's that, Alan? What do you think?
No.
And who's your next nomination as well?
He wouldn't win it for me. He has been outstanding. He would be the one I'd replace in the squad. I wouldn't replace him directly. I'd bring someone in and say, you have to win that spot off him. He's a bloke got 20 out of season, 25 goal involvements all season. You have to do that to get your spot off him. But my player of the year is the best striker in world football. It's Alexander Isak.
I'm going to do a double celebration. 1, because I love Alexander Isak, and 2, because Brentford are now 2-0 up against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, Brentford.
Sign
bees.
Great bunch of lads. Great bunch of
lads. Who scored?
Wissa, Johan Wissa.
Wissa, yeah.
Alexander Isak, of course, has to be in this list.
Yeah.
And you know, bar the fact that Mo Salah is playing in the title-winning team, and Liverpool, to be fair to them, have been brilliant. Plus, Salah scores a shit ton of penalties, no more than Isak, I suppose. Isak, like, would be top scorer in the league, like he would, like. So, it's a long time, Krisho, since we've had a Newcastle number 9 up in the top scorer charts, like right up towards the top. Like last year, obviously, he was getting there. You know, he was well on his way. But this season, you know, breaking the 20 goals 2 seasons in a row in the Premier League, even Shearer didn't manage to do that. And I love seeing his name like up in that list amongst the Salahs, amongst the Haalands, amongst Chris Woods, and whoever else is up there.
Yikes! No, I mean there's no more superlatives to describe the guy. Like it's incredible that we have him, that we signed him, that nobody else in world football paid the money. He came here, he saw how Jesus cold it is in Newcastle, but he still had a look around and went, no, hang on a sec, I'll give this a shot, I'll see how I go. I'm sure his agent was like, look, do well at Newcastle, they'll love you up here, and then he can sign for a bigger club or whatever, right? But I've got an awful feeling since he played that winning role in the final and the adoration that he gets, I don't see him wanting to go anywhere. Like, why not just stay here? He saw how Alan Shearer is a god. Lex Ferdinand only played 1 season, for God's sake, and he's put down as a Newcastle legend.
He's up here on my wall, like, look at him.
He only played, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a quality striker, but we've got like like Al said, we've got the best striker in
It's different
European or
levels.
world
He's different
football.
levels, and we're different levels as well. I fully agree. Like the one thing I'd say is right, like it won't be Real Madrid. If Barcelona
No.
came in from,
I
I
think
like
California.
if Barcelona. I don't think they will because I think money, etc. But if Barcelona were to come in and put an acceptable offer on the table, very hard to turn down a move to
Oh, yeah.
Barcelona. Replacing Lewandowski, you're probably going to be first choice, and like Lamine Yamal there, Pedri, just very hard to say no.
I'd rather be sold to Barcelona for 100 million over to Liverpool for 150 million, and that's out of pure spite and not wanting to see him in another Premier League jersey. Yeah, I'd love for PSG to come in and say, "Here's 100 million and Gonzalo Ramos."
Yeah,
because that's. Look, you're not replacing him with an equal level player by any stretch.
Big old risk. That would be a big risk. Ramos, obviously, he's so young and obviously hasn't played in the Premier League, but it wouldn't be the worst solution in the world.
Is he signing a new deal? Is he signing a new deal? Let's cut the crap here. Is he signing a new deal? Do you think?
Do I think? Yes. I think we turn around. We get Champions League football. We turn around to him and say, "Here's 185 grand a week. In 2 years' time, when we've won the Champions League, we'll give you 250 grand, 300 grand a week. And when we keep winning the Premier League and you are the cemented best player in Newcastle history, you can have whatever you want. Don't worry about it. He's staying with us."
Alan, the octopus strikes again.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. No.
I hope that prediction comes true. I like that prediction.
Yeah. We'll take that. See if Jamie Miley agrees. Okay, so Isaac is in the list, in the short list, alongside Jacob Murphy and Sandro Tonali, which means we only have space for one more nomination from myself. And I, again, had you asked me at the start of the season, would I expect this guy to be in the top 4 shortlist for player of the season? Probably wouldn't have said his name. But that name is Daniel Johnson Byrne. Of Blythe.
He's from
Dan Byrne, lads. Like
legend.
I don't know. What more do you say? When we needed him, he's there. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of grief, playing left back, worked for a season, then didn't work last season. That's done. That's gone forever. But this man has just been a rock, like against all different kinds of strikers. I always talk about he loves playing Haaland. He loves playing Chris Wood. He likes having these physical battles. And then obviously when you get quicker strikers, they cause a bit of a problem, but he's done a lot of recovery tackles. He's been in the right place at the right time. Cher has had some dodgy moments, positioning-wise. Cher has been caught out of place, and Dan Byrne has been able to help. But equally, there's even lately I've seen Fabian Cher being the one to drop back and be the recovery last man, and Dan Byrne has gone off for a wonder. And as we've said, he scored some hugely important goals. England called up. I don't think he was like, "I'm being pranked. Who the fuck is bringing me here?" Like just pretending to be Thomas Tuchel or whoever. Was it Tuchel or was it? Yeah, I think
yes, it was.
No, it was.
Yeah. Fair. Do you know what? Just fair fucking play to him. Like it's the extra. He's probably like about 80% of the defender we need, in terms of quality that we would need. But he gives you that extra 20, 30 by his desire, his passion, his leadership, and his love for the club. Yeah. And Chris, for me, that's why we signed him. Like we signed him because he's from Newcastle, because he's a Geordie, not specifically because of the type of defender he is.
The love of the club and the fact that he's getting his chance to live his dream to play for Newcastle United has given us the player that we wanted. Like he's not, like you said, it's given us the extra 20, 30% on top of who he is. He's, again, I'll go back to this many, many times. He's getting very well trained by the coaching staff. He knows his job. And when he's put on the pitch, you can just see the man. I know I said this before, but he's 6 foot. What is he? 6'7". But when he's standing there, when it's going along with the cameras, he looks about 8 foot tall. He's so beamingly delighted to play for Newcastle United and drive everybody forward. His performance in the cup final was one that deserves to go down in legend because he played that well. He did everything apart from bloody overhead kick from the halfway line. He was fantastic. And I mean, honestly, if I didn't love Tonali so bloody much, I wish that Byrne would get it. Byrne and Murphy would get a chance to win player of the season.
It's wild. Like I listened to a podcast called Ranks FC podcast. It's called. But the lads on there, they're both Fulham fans actually. But one of the hosts, Jack Collins, his name is. He was talking about when Dan Byrne was basically released from Fulham when Fulham were in the Championship because Dan Byrne wasn't good enough. That man has since gone on to score against PSG in the Champions League, score in the Carabao Cup final, and play for England. I mean, the adversity alone to bounce back from that. He wasn't wanted by what is he? It was Wigan, it was Brighton, it was Fulham. None of them were really, he wasn't really first choice for a whole lot of them. And tell you what, he's first
And
choice
Newcastle.
at the moment. Yeah, big time. Okay, so we have got our player of the season shortlist put together with Sandro Tonali, Jacob Murphy, Alexander Isak, and Dan Byrne. Just before we move on, Alan, is there anyone who's unlucky not to make it?
Yeah, yes and no. The back line this season hasn't been immense. There's been games. There's midfield the same. Gordon
I
arguably
think is the
could.
interesting one. Yeah, because his numbers were brilliant coming up to that run and everything like that. But kind of a little
Exactly,
bit of
but
drop off
then-
between suspension and
Yeah, he's missed out on it too much to get into the conversation. But there's always next year. Don't worry about it, Anthony. You can retain your title another year. Don't worry.
Yes,
Well, there was a poll done in the Irish Mags group about who would be willing to sell if the money was there. Da, 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 da. And it was like Isak, Bruno, Gordon, da, da, da. See what we could get. And the overwhelming response from the Irish Mags group was to sell Gordon. It's like as if it was like as if grand, get rid of him. Good luck. We don't
a little
need
bit
it.
of recency bias, maybe, because Harvey Barnes has just been pretty good for the last 5 games, but not that.
And that poll was put in at 2:00 on a Saturday morning after lads had a rake of points, and I think we just lost the game as well. I actually think it was the game where Gordon was sent off, but that went in. So don't be taking anything to that yet.
Context is important.
Stop throwing the Irish mags into the muck, will you? For God's sake.
And Chris, go to bed. It's 2 a.m. is way past your bedtime as well, Chris. There'll be none of that now when you come to Galway.
No way.
Right. Well, we will be announcing those polls when they're coming out soon. We have a lot of things being announced and more to come as well. There's a lot of other stuff happening. You really want to keep an eye on the WhatsApp groups or you miss out, particularly the announcements group. But we will let everybody know when those polls are going live to vote for our player and young player of the season. I think that we were going to talk about breakout stars. We might actually just save that for another episode and do a bit of a lens on the academy, because there's a few interesting players in there, including some Irish players in there as well. We just mentioned Galway. Let's talk about the weekend ahead, lads. We've kind of had a chat about selection in terms of the whole Joe Linton's out. I think we'd expect probably a very similar lineup without many changes. Again, question mark, should Anthony Gordon go back into the side and so on.
No.
So we'll probably just dive straight into predictions, Alan, really. What do we expect to see? This is a huge game. Potentially one of the tougher ones is Brighton. It's away. They've been really hit and miss in the Premier League this season, but I think overall, they're still a very good side. I fucking hate Danny Welbeck because everyone talks about what a nice guy he is, and he always scores against us.
Yeah, I hate him as well because he constantly scores against. And you know what? I always say the highest level of respect you can give a player off an opposition team is absolute hatred, and it's purely because they do stuff against your own team. You're like, I hate you because you're good, and that's a compliment. But stop. So Danny, piss off. You're good at football.
Go and have a rest. I mean, Christian, they are. Sorry, I have to get your prediction actually, but they are 9th in the league. They're level with Fulham on 51 points. They're very much in with a shout at the European place.
Their form is dreadful, Al. It's lost, draw, loss.
They've one win in their last 7, but that is when teams pull things directly out of their arseholes against us and pull a result out of the bag. So we've all seen this film before, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Like I said to you, at the top of the podcast, this is, and I don't mean to bojangle everybody's nerves here, but this is the mind of Chelsea, Arsenal, and everything else. Those games. This is it. This is the season-defining game. Apart from the final, but in terms of getting into the Champions League, this is it. This is the game. I'm so glad, like I said to you, that we're in Galway all together for it, because it is an enormous football game. If we win this, we can all be very, very happy. I know we will be anyway, because we'll be having the crack in Galway, but we should all be very, very happy because we've confirmed ourselves Champions League football. 100%.
Wouldn't that be lovely? I still think that this Chelsea game is going to be the biggest one in terms of
the Chelsea
what it means,
is
because it's a 6-pointer.
Beyond it, yeah.
Right. So what?
Important thing, Eddie Howe will tell you, Chris, the most important thing is the next game, and I'm going to push you for a prediction on the next game. Newcastle away to Brighton. Give me
Oh,
your
God.
prediction score.
God, 2-1 to Newcastle. That's with my heart. Yeah, my brain says 1-1, but 2-1 to Newcastle.
So you started out saying we were going to lose. Then you said instantly we're going to win, and now you're going to be hard saying draw.
Yeah.
You've said all three results. You're going to come on the podcast and be like, I was right.
Well, I'm just trying to match up with Al. Al's always bloody right.
Hedging his bets, like.
I have to just basically say everything, so at least I can go, hey, I was right, Al, remember? And you're like, no, I don't remember. Right, so no. Look, 2-1 to Newcastle.
Fine.
There you go.
Alan.
Okay, yeah. I am going to say we are going to get a draw out of the game. We don't like going to the Amex. The last time we won there was 2017 in the championship, so I'm going to go with a score draw of 1-1. And I'd be happy enough with that.
This is interesting. Yeah, I was actually looking at our last few games. Like, as you said, like even the last 4 times we've played Brighton, we've lost 3 of them. Yeah. I hadn't really realised that.
And then they stuff us all the time.
1 draw. So I don't know how they've suddenly become our bogey team, for want of a better phrase. Initially, I was thinking draw. But now I think this is one of those games where we're just going to want it more. Like, yes, they have Europe to play for, but they have a very inexperienced, kind of a young squad. And as we've said, very inconsistent. I think we're going to beat them, lads. I think we're going to go and we're going to beat them. I think we're going to beat them, 3-1. Go with that. 3-1.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
My blind optimism knows no bounds, as has carried me through life being a Newcastle United fan. And as Krisho mentioned, we will be watching that game all together, the 3 of us, plus loads more, in Mary Mullins Bar in Galway at the weekend on Sunday. These hooligans here, I believe, are getting a bus early in the morning. We're going to go straight to Mass when you get to Galway, and then we'll head for some breakfast if you're.
I will burst into flames.
I'm not allowed.
Krisho's definitely not allowed.
No.
Just on the meetups.
Yes.
Right, I don't mean to be overtaking you here. So we will be in Mary Mullins Bar, obviously, but Gracie's in Sligo, just 24 Grattan in St. Napa Beg Road. I probably butchered that. I don't know. I'm a dub, so you all hate me anyway. So apologies.
Yeah.
This weekend, the West is awake for the Irish Mags with meet up in Galway and Sligo. So get on, if you can, get yourselves down to either Galway or Sligo. As we mentioned, all of us will be in Mary Mullins. Probably early enough. We're going to try and get a bit of breakfast in there because I think we'll probably be in there around 11ish to get a bit of breakfast into us. And we've got Rangers and Celtic at 12.
Celtic's 12:30. We're 2:00. Chelsea Liverpool's 4:00. That is a day of football. That is a day of football. Anyone who wants to come along,
asleep under a flag by about 6.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to come along, we're getting a bus from the Keys in Dublin at 8:15 Sunday morning. There's still tickets available. Throw one of us a DM, throw someone a DM. We'll get you all the info you need and we'll sort you out. So you're more than welcome to show up.
Brilliant. Looking forward to having you in Galway, lads. Bank holiday weekend, hopefully with a Newcastle win to keep us all smiling and having the crack. And a bit of nice weather would go down a treat as well, wouldn't it, lads?
Yeah.
Indeed. Oh, yes. And just the last piece of news, really quickly, before we wrap up the show, is that we are going to be having an end of season party in Dublin, Alan, I believe.
We are.
Correct me if I'm right. Is it for the Arsenal game?
It is for the Arsenal game, which is the 18th of May. From 2 p.m. onwards, we're the 4:00 game that day, I think. Sunday, 4 p.m. Yeah, we are. We will be there from 2 p.m. to give us time to do our raffles and our quizzes, and I always end up being stuck up on a table shouting at people.
You love it, Al.
I do love it. I was turned into a WhatsApp sticker last year, and it was the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. But yeah, from 2 p.m. we will have prizes. As we always do, we'll have everything we ever need. And if anyone's ever been to any of our end of season parties, they're always a good bit of crack and end up with way too many pints drank and way too many people having a great time. So we want as many people as we possibly can to come over to this. So if you're in and around Dublin, come down to the Bleaker for our end of season party on the 18th of May, which is our last away game, not a home game, because we never do them for home games because too many people go to the games. So just remember, it's the last away game of the season.
Excellent.
okay.
But one thing you won't have, I'm afraid, is me, because I'm actually out of the country that weekend. But I will be watching it, hopefully from a beach, holding a drink and a cocktail, and I'll be ringing in, lads.
You
And
said
that'll be
cocktail,
Leadership
right? You
Bar.
said cocktail, right? You said
Yes, that's
cocktail.
exactly what I
Yeah.
said. Yes.
Just to be
Drink.
clear. Just to be clear.
On that joyous, alarming note,
Yeah.
that brings episode 74 of the Irish Mags show to a close. As always, check out theirishmags.com where you get all of these updates, all these news announcements. Keep an eye on the WhatsApp groups for all the polls that are coming, as well as announcements. Check all the social media, like, subscribe, comments, all of the above down below as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who we nominate as our player and young player of the season. We'll be touching on more of that, of course, next week, where hopefully we'll have 3 more points in the bag. The Champions League race continues. And before we clock off, I can tell you it's still Brentford 2, Nottingham Forest 0, 89 minutes. It's looking good, lads. Third in the league, all level, all to play for.
Oh, it looks good.
Champions League. It's in our hands. So until then, until next week, we shall say the usual. How are the lads? Slán go fóill. And we'll see you all very soon. Alan, Chris, thank you very much for joining. And thank you, listeners.
Good luck, everybody.